Let's welcome Miss Mickela Panday.
Thank you very much
It's
for having me, Sheldon.
It's a pleasure
Thank
indeed
you.
having you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on what is a really good transition in terms of your walk.
Yes.
And this is an interesting journey from, I was going through some footage and I saw It's Your Time Now from when your dad had hosted the show at Win.
Yes.
And the name of the show, and then I saw when you had the meeting, It's Time. So to me, this place you are right now has been predestined, if you want to call it that. But this thing called time, your time, whose time are you referring to? It's time for what? What it's time for?
It's time. When we came up with the concept, actually, it just happened to be a coincidence, by the way, the name of the show. But when we came up with the concept, the theme of what we wanted the open forum to be, it was for people to have their voices be heard. It's time for the people to be put first. It's time to put country first before self. It's time to let your voices be heard, and we just wanted something that was going to be people-centered. And the reason we did that, and the reason why we didn't call it a meeting, and we called it an open forum, is because every time there are any kinds of meetings by any political party, you stand up and you have these politicians come up and they speak to the people, and the people never get a chance to speak back.
So it was more conversation.
It was more not even conversation, because when you have politicians involved, they can overtake everything.
Right.
And just what amazed me is the wide range of topics that people wanted to discuss, but more so is that they themselves, it's time for people to be heard, that they thought that it was time for something new. It was time for some kind of movement. It was time for, at the end of the meeting, the formation of a new political party. And one of the reasons, again, coming back to that, I don't think political parties are formed in a room with just, a couple of people sit down and say, listen, I think it's time to form a political party. People may not want a political party. And we wanted to go out here. Did people want a political party? Did they feel it was time for a political party? Did they want to see change? Were they feeling fed up? Were they really feeling frustrated? And that really was what that was about. And what came from it, and then subsequently since then, is that people really, really are very fed up with the current situation in the country.
And the reason why I asked that, because there is this feeling of anxiety. Where people feel that they are running out of time.
Yes.
And I'm saying that to say that we exist in time and space, but we don't own time.
That's right.
So when people get to that place that they feel they are running out of time, that's a scary thing. You understand?
Yeah.
So that's why I ask you, because that's why I like what you're saying about time, to let people know that there's still hope.
Absolutely.
There's still, purpose is still there for change. Purpose, so that is really critical. So sometimes you don't have to, you can just say so much by saying so little at times.
Yes.
So I really want to thank you for that. Now, that being said,
yes.
The question on the lips of everyone, I'm going to ask you very openly.
Sure.
Some are still trying to figure out, is a party going to be formed? What's going to happen? Yes, you have the open forum. Okay, then. Okay, what's up? What's up? Shh, shh. Are you forming a political party?
For my great friend Sheldon, first before anybody else, yes, I am.
Right.
Yes, the decision has been made to do so.
So you heard it here?
Yes.
On ACT and The Voice on Cloud 9. For all the suspicions and all the questions being asked, Ms. Panday did say today that the political party has been formed. Is
in the process of being formed, yes.
All right. So I'll leave it there for now. So
Sure.
I guess you all are working on a name and all of that. And
Yes, because obviously registering a party and forming a party are two separate things.
right.
Registering obviously deals with, actually in Trinidad and Tobago, under the Representation of the People's Act, you actually it's the symbol you register and not actually a name. So there's obviously we're consulting, and so first of all is registration, and of course then you have the formation of a party, which the basis has to be the constitution and things like that. So just that's where we're at.
Now, someone can take a journey in one of two ways. I'm looking at a mountain. You can either go over the mountain or go around the mountain.
Yes.
I say go over, because when you climb, it builds strength.
Yes.
And when you reach the top of the mountain, you actually have a better perspective of things than if you try to just go around and take a shortcut, right? Now, there are those who are saying you are the daughter of the great Mr. Basdio Panday.
Those who like him are saying
Those
the great
whether they like him or not, listen to me. Whether you like Mr. Panday or not, he will always be the silver fox and one of the greatest politicians that I've had the opportunity to meet. So say what you want. Right, good. So that being said,
yes,
you have, and we're being very open, you've been criticized that because you are Mr. Panday's daughter, you're going to get shortcuts and they're going to help you and they're going to try and make things easy for you. How do you respond to your critics who, since you had the open forum, were making such comments?
Well, first of all, I will dispel that very quickly. Any daughter or son of a politician, whoever decides to get into politics, it's quite the opposite. You have to actually work 100 times harder than everybody else. The questions that are asked of you and what is expected of you is so much more than if there were any other group, for example, forming a political party. There would never be as much scrutiny. And that's why it takes, like you say, it's easy. People say you can go around the mountain, but climbing it, and it's difficult. And of course, whilst I'm more than grateful and thank God that every day that my father is alive, so that, our group and we can go to him, our steering committee can go to him and ask him for advice.
Which is nothing is wrong with it.
We really, and definitely we run things past him. We don't always agree.
Right.
And I mean, of course, people will be interested if he is part of the committee. No, he's not.
Okay.
And that is because as young people, we have our ideas, our views, and it's always, besides just Mr. Panday being a politician, he's my dad. People go and ask their parents. I run things past my mom as well. You always, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're going into any kind of venture, you go home to mom and dad's or a cup of tea, some Sunday lunch or something, and you sit down and say, listen, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? So yes, but, again, to answer your question, in Trinidad, it's not happened before, so there's no one to compare it to.
Right.
But I'm sure if you were to ask, David O'Brien Manning, perhaps, if they were getting into it, I think they would go through the same exact experience.
Right.
You have to be better than everybody else. You have to work harder than everybody else. You have to prove yourself.
Because of your lineage.
Because of your lineage, you have to. And there is no shortcut. There is no shortcut that my father, as a former prime minister, as a political leader, former political leader, anything. There's no shortcut. It is hard work, and that's it. It's hard work.
So actually, you believe that you'll be criticized more because
absolutely,
because
and the beautiful thing is, when you make decision to go into it, you have to expect it.
Right.
But for all the trolling on social media, there are wonderful people who give you so much love and support, and that just pulls you up. I mean, I think there've been a couple other parties
that try to,
and I think, and it's hard work, and kudos to them. I mean, figuring a name, figuring a symbol that will represent what it is you actually want to portray, making sure everybody has their say. But knowing, in my situation, that the spotlight is on, because the moment that I step wrong, they will cut me down, or at least try to. I don't think they'll succeed.
We have some comments coming in our social media. Again, you can send your comments on our Facebook stream, our Facebook live stream, actually.
Yes.
I'll get to them in just a short while as well. We'll take your calls in a few minutes at 652-4855. There are those who have been saying, and again, I'm going by the public statements, that you're trying to compete with Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar and you're trying to undermine her because you're going to try and split the UNC votes. How do you respond to those statements as well?
Well, compete, I don't understand. Compete as in forming a party to compete with hers. I think anybody who forms a political party is competing with everybody else. You're competing for seats.
So people are making this about you and her, and that's not the case.
Well, I think if they really understood what we were doing, it's about Trinidad. It's about the people. To make it so simple into some kind of, or to demean or to diminish, to belittle it to something so simple. I'm not thinking about Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar. I'm not thinking about Dr. Rowley. I didn't wake up in the morning and say, listen, you know, I need to get into politics. I need to do this. I want to bring change. And thinking about that, you do it thinking about, why do I get involved in politics? I want to get involved in politics.
And you're not new to politics. That's an
Of course, no. I was a member of parliament. But, you know, get back into electoral politics. Thanks for that, Shell. But yeah, get back into electoral politics. It is because I would like my team, we would like the people who join with us would like the same thing, which is to make the people of Trinidad and Tobago's lives better. That there's accountability, that there's transparency. I know it's been used all the time, but nobody practices it. That there's meritocracy, that if you get a job, you get that job because you're qualified to do that job. So that you're not put on state boards because of political patronage, but because it doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are, how old you are, you know, ethnicity and who you know, nepotism, cronyism. But listen, this is the best man or woman for the job. That's why we're getting into it. Doesn't have to do with them. And I mean, to deal with the issue of splitting the vote, which I think is an important one, because immediately certain people came out and said, I'm going to split the vote, I'm going to split the vote. Now, what we are trying to do, we are trying to bring change to the political landscape of Trinidad, which is, I know it's going to be hard, I know it's, but I don't think it's impossible, but where we could transcend ethnicity whilst we're voting. I think that we're ready. I don't know how ready. We'll know at the end of the day. Right. When an election result will tell. But what we're trying to do, change it on that level. To say and answer your question that you're going to split the vote is to insult everybody, first of all, of African descent who will want to vote. You're saying that they're not, anyway. Of Indian descent, who says, listen, so the only people that will vote for the party we form are Indian people? Is that what they're saying? Because that's the vote. Because we all know that they're saying traditionally, and tell me if I'm going wrong, this is how I read it to be, is that the UNC vote is Indian-based, Indo-Trinidadian-based, and therefore, for me to split that vote would mean that only Indo-Trinidadians would vote for me. I think it's nonsensical. I think it is making an excuse for loss before anything has actually even happened. And I think that people, and young people especially, don't see, when they look at their future, when they look at the debts that's being left for them to have to repay, they're not looking at race. I really don't think so.
And I think because of how racial lines have literally tied like a noose around our necks for so many decades, we don't even know how to free ourselves from that mindset. Yeah. And that is the problem. So
it's fair.
So if I decide to launch a party, they're gonna say, only Afro-Trinidadian.
You'll split the vote.
I'll split the vote.
And that is so insulting to Afro-Trinidadian people, and also insulting to Indo-Trinidadian people, who you're saying that they're unable to vote without thinking race. You know, they're unable to think. So first of all, oh, I, being a certain race, won't look at a leader who is of a particular race. I mean, when you discuss it like that, it sounds, when you speak it out loud, it sounds so stupid. It does.
Let me just read a comment, and this is going back to something your father has been clamoring for some time now.
Sure.
This two-party system, which I said is divided on racial lines. And we need to take those same lines and draw a different picture now and truly live what we speak. You know, and I make reference very often to the word of God. They speak life and death is in the power of the tongue. So if we speak hate and we speak race and we speak division and we speak that things can't change because of this two-party system, then it will never change. So the change begins here, not here.
Correct.
Because the heart is full of emotions and people get, carried away.
Correct.
Someone's asking here.
Yeah.
Then I'll get to my point. My question I want to ask Ms. Mickela is that would it be feasible to form a political party, especially in a system where it's only favored a two-party system? Which you really kind of start to answer as well. Now, for us to truly shift from that two-party system, yes, there is the personal decision that one must make, but then there is constitutional reform.
Absolutely.
Which, I mean, I've heard it so many times over the last few years, but outside of yourself, put yourself out just for a couple of minutes.
Sure.
Do you see any party right now, or any individual who may be involved in politics, who you will probably have spoken to time and time again, that they are willing to do so, or is that something that is just not being discussed?
Like I said, I can only speak for myself.
Okay.
There is absolutely no one.
No one.
Absolutely no one. And what you will, of course, you need constitutional reform, you need electoral reform. The issue is only when parties are in opposition, they want constitutional reform. Of course, there are a lot of legalese of the amount of support and what majority you need in the parliament, etc. And putting those kinds of things aside.
Why are they so afraid of it, though?
Because the current system suits them.
And it works.
And it works for them. So if it works for them, if dividing our small, beautiful little country on race.
Divide and conquer.
Exactly. They must have a base. That's why they keep talking. I have a Indo-Trinidadian base. I have an Afro-Trinidadian and Tobago as well. But obviously Trinidad is more mixed.
Right.
So they need to split. Tobago's a whole separate story. They need to split the vote so they have bases. When you have bases, it doesn't matter what you do to these poor people.
Right.
And both parties are guilty of doing it. It doesn't matter how you treat them, how you neglect them, but you've already instilled that fear in them of the other tribe almost, So you're saying, Sheldon, listen, boy, you better not put in an Indo-Trinidadian in there, you're telling an Indo-Trinidadian, listen, if you put an Afro-Trinidadian in there, they don't care about you, they don't this, and I mean, history has shown, the recent history has shown that when either party leaders of either bases get in, they don't really do very much for their race or their tribe or their base. Everybody knows that there are select few people that benefit every time.
Let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to actually just address some more comments coming in and take a few of your calls at 652-4855. Again, for those who probably missed the earlier part of the show, the speculation is over. Ms. Mickela Panday, yes, they are forming the next political party in Trinidad and Tobago. My special guest this evening, Ms. Mickela Panday, your next political leader of a political party, but she'll reveal more, I guess, in the weeks and months to come. I want to just look at a couple of comments here quickly. Let me go down to Mr. Bernard. This is just a general comment. I think the problem with Trinidad and Tobago is that the majority of, not saying all here in brackets, then to only focus on the particular parties rather than the candidates who will serve the best interest of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Also, what I would love to see is a constitutional and electoral reform taking place, which allowed for many political parties to be able to get a seat in the parliament as the days of having a two-party system is over, right? So I'll just move quickly to the other one. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate Ms. Panday on this brave and bold decision and to wish her the best going forward. That's from Mr. Saunders. Question, however, Ms. Panday frequently refers to her team as well as uses the term we. Given your comments related to the formation of a party in particular, the fact that openness is key, are you willing to share information about your team? I justify this question by saying that there are many persons concerned with the fact that rejected politicians will influence decisions and decision making. To clarify, rejected politicians as in those who make their way to the new party, seeing opportunities for political survival.
What's their name?
Mr. Saunders.
Hi, Mr. Saunders. Thank you. That is a lovely question.
It was a loaded one. So
it's a loaded question. I love it. Thank you. Mr. Saunders, put simply, no. There are absolutely no recycled politicians. There have been people...
This is a fresh slate, yeah.
Yeah. There have been people, of course, who've approached and they want to speak with us. And absolutely. I mean, that's what politics is about. You can speak with people, but to say that we're just going to be a kind of rewrapped of the same, no, it would make no sense to do that.
Exactly, that camera and tell them again, no recycled
politicians.
Right, good.
None.
I think that's critical because that what he's saying there
is the main concern that I have found.
Of the concern that many people would have.
Yeah.
Are you going to have the same people that
no.
see Mr. Ganga sing there? Okay, so he's going to... So people are going to have it.
Nope.
Is it a second branch of the UNC? That's what people are going to think automatically.
No. You see, Sheldon, what happens is this. The people... the politicians who have been there before need to explain why they didn't do what they were supposed to do when they were there.
Right.
Why they didn't complain about things that a lot of them who are on the outside are now complaining about. When exactly did they realize what was going wrong? And I really think the population has become so politically savvy, whether it be through social media or, you get information. People know what's happening. You don't have to sit and look at the 7 o'clock news anymore. You actually know the news before the 7 o'clock news.
Right.
People know what's happening. I don't think you can fool people. I think they will look into your eyes, they will look you in the eye, and they will know if you're lying to them. The recycled politicians don't bring anything. What are they going to bring? To me, they bring baggage. Does it mean that people, I'm not willing, to speak to people? Of course you speak to people. And like I say, I feel humbled that we are even able to get to the stage. That, I'm thankful and grateful to everyone who's shown support. But that does not mean that you just recycle, repackage, I have no intention of doing that, because if I were to do that, I am wasting my time and I'm wasting the people of Trinidad and Tobago's time. That's my own view.
Now, I want to paint a picture for you.
Yes.
And it's a picture of trust.
Yes.
And I'll tell you where I'm going with this. So when these leaders are on the political campaign, they paint you this picture of a beautiful lily field, lovely flowers and stuff.
Yeah.
And over a period of time, people end up standing there facing a forest of overgrown trees and weeds and thorns and thistles, as the case may be, right? And they get to the point whereby, you know what? If I'm getting any kind of fruit or food from this forest, I'll take it. Because maybe that's what I deserve. It's too difficult to have to break down and cut down these trees and get all these weeds and all of these things out of my way. So let me just settle for where I am, because none of them I can trust. How do you, amidst what I would consider a heavy forested area of mistrust in the minds of people because of the decades and decades of promises of flowers and honey, and all they're getting are thorns, how do you now break that trust barrier It is not going to be easy.
Going to be very hard.
Battle, there are those saying plain talk, bad manners.
They
Great
don't want to
job,
know.
Mickela, but you know what?
I don't want to know.
Don't waste your time.
Don't waste your time. I've been told that by so many people. This didn't happen to Trinbagonians, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, overnight. You will see, because we are extremely forgiving people, you will see on so many occasions, they stopped and I said, listen, all right, we're willing to give you a chance. We're willing to give her this chance. I'm willing to give a coalition a chance. We're willing to give the PNM under a new leader a chance. You know, literally saying, listen, we're willing. The only way that you can try and build or rebuild as opposed to break, because breaking trust is what they have done in the past, rebuild trust is to tell the truth. And the truth isn't lilies and flowers and roses. The truth is things are going to be difficult for us all. The truth is we do not know what state the treasury in. So you can't go. If a party wins an election, only then you will know how much money there is. Only then you'll be so I cannot promise you laptops. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I can't. The reality of saying I would like to do 10 things. But the reality is, having gotten there, I can only do 5. I have prioritized 5. I can only do 5. Go to the people, talk to the people, tell the people the truth. Trinidadians, more than anybody else, are people who will be understanding if you tell them. Don't lie to them. Don't promise them things. And that's what we are going to try to do. So we're not going to be the bringers of gloom and doom, but at the same time, provide realistic hope. If that realistic hope, listen, where there is a will, there is a way. When you're at the bottom, the only place you can go is up. We will go up together. We will have obstacles to cross. We will cross them together. But I'm going to tell you the truth. How many times they fight campaign against campaign, promising. I am hoping that people are going to realize, listen, this is the state our country is in now. Whether it is we're looking at crime, whether it is we're looking at the economy, whether it is whatever we're looking at. And there are things that are going to have to be done. Engage with people. You do that before an election, and then you get into power, and then you stop talking to people.
Right.
They only have a say every 5 years, and their say normally is not to vote anybody in, but to vote people out. And Trinbagonians, we kind of say, well, let's give the other one a chance because it wasn't so bad, even though it was as bad during that. And I mean, I listen to people saying, and I mean, coming things and justifying it in their head, and you're so right. It's whatever comes, the less of the two evils.
I will go
the
with
devil and the deep blue sea.
Because you look at the forest and they say, no, I contributed to this and maybe I deserve this. And
people don't.
There's a fear. I think as you mentioned, there's a fear that this is all I know. And it's like sorry to use this analogy, but it's like domestic abuse, whereby you get so accustomed to the abuse that you believe this is what I deserve and I will die with this.
Or even Stockholm Syndrome, where you begin to love your abuser and you begin to empathize with those who are treating you badly. And to have beaten the people of Trinidad and Tobago, both parties, to such a level that you can say, well, you know, even though the People's Partnership did so and so and so, at least they were doing something. And if you put back the People's Partnership in 2 years' time, the UNC back in 2 years' time, they will say, oh, it wasn't this bad. Even though the PNM wasn't doing anything, at least they wasn't doing it this bad. And that is this. We gotta move from that.
Now, the political circle in Trinidad and Tobago is a pretty small one in the context of the population.
Yeah.
So even though you have a new slate, as you just indicated,
yeah,
there are those, I'm sure, that would have approached you to lend their assistance who may be from the years gone by. Have you been approached by both, let's say, UNC and PNM stalwarts? Yes or no?
Yes.
Both sides?
Both sides.
Interesting.
But you're limiting it to those from years gone by.
Oh, I apologize.
There are those who are there right now.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I mean,
so there are those who are currently, whether in government or in the opposition, who
absolutely
have thrown their support in one way or the other.
Thrown their support, spoken with me. You know, politicians throughout the world, so I don't say it specifically to our beautiful country, Trinidad and Tobago, have been described as rats. So you picture a situation where you're on a ship and a terrible storm is coming, and the storm comes and a fire starts, and you know, the first to jump are the rats, and the rats can swim, you know that. And the rats will swim and they will find another boat and they will jump on it. And I'm not saying anybody in particular. I'm saying this is an analogy that's used about politicians throughout the world. Like I say, I am open to speaking with everyone. Why not? I think it would be rude. It would be a bit. I would not be happy saying to somebody, "Oh, I don't want to speak with you."
It will go against the very thing that you're trying to dispel.
Exactly, you know, but yeah, it's been very, very interesting. Very interesting.
There's so much more to come. In terms of the ground support, I gather you've been meeting and talking with people. What have they been saying to you generally about how they are feeling right?
People right now feel very disenchanted. People right now, there's a sense of hopelessness. And when we go and we have little meetings, because you can't have meetings as you did on the 20th, right, because you will never have enough time in the day, so you do it on a sort of smaller basis. People, we're not there to bad talk anybody, so that's one thing. There's nothing I can go to a group of people and tell them that they don't know already, so let's not waste each other's time. I'm not there to say something bad about any party, worse yet, any person. That's not on our agenda. But also to listen to them, but to create hope, to provide hope, to not lie, to ask them, what kind of political party do you want to see? Do you want to have more of a say, for example, in who is chosen as your MP for your area? Would you like to be part, perhaps, of a screening process, as opposed to us simply coming and throwing a candidate upon you and saying, well, just vote?
Which is what happens.
Which is what happens. Right. So we're trying to do something positive. We're trying to give hope. And when party is registered, again, informing the party, which is setting up all the institutions, we want the people to be part of that. You can have your group of technocrats, you can have your consultants, but you go out and say, listen, local government is very important. Tell me about councillors. The people who are going up to be councillors, do they know what their role and responsibility
you're
is?
Actually going to be taking recommendations from the public as it pertains
Absolutely.
to councillors, to all the matters.
Everything. What kind of party do you want to see? And the constitution must be something that we live by and not breach, and just really lead from the front. And I realize lots of people are having open forums now, so that's beautiful. I think it's wonderful because listen,
follow the leader.
Even if they're following, who benefits the people?
Right. Someone wants to know, one of you guys wants to know,
sure.
When are you launching your party? They had called it, so they didn't want to go on. They just want to know when.
Oh, when. We will. Well, obviously, as we were saying before, the registering of a party is different from the forming of a party. So you first of all, you register.
So right now, you'll have
the first thing you've got to do is you've got to register a party.
Okay.
And anybody can do that. You can go and do that as well. And as I was saying, the EBC informs us that once an election, there's a by-election coming, as you know, on the 16th of July. So once the announcement that there is going to be a by-election has been made, and until the result of that by-election, they don't take registration for party symbols.
Okay.
You'll have to, and then of course, so then you get to the stage, right, I've registered a name, I've registered a symbol. And obviously, you put in, which we're doing right now as well, but setting up the institutions of the party that will make the party function, that will set the rules and regulation by those who are members of that party must stick by. You can't throw an election whenever you want and don't hold an assembly and don't hold a women's congress. Make sure that the youth arm is functioning. And you don't sit in a room and do that. You have to come and you go out and you see young people. What has really touched me, and I would love to just say, before we go, I was so moved by the young people approaching us. Now, you don't simply hear, I support you.
Here from someone here
sure.
Go ahead, no, finish.
They don't simply say, I support you, I support your initiative. They say, my name is such and such. I would like to help. Please let me know what I can do. Volunteering. And that has just blown me away because politics in this country had changed so much that you had to pay people to do everything.
Let's answer this question in 1 minute or less if you can. Well, a couple minutes again before we close.
Sure.
We have a call as well. We need to hear about your proposals for crime, healthcare, and the economy.
Absolutely.
How do you propose to address the foreign exchange crisis?
Yes.
We need to know what you are offering
of
that
course.
can potentially change the current landscape. But before you answer, let's take the call. We answer both on time and close.
Sure.
Caller, good evening. You're on the air. Welcome to the program.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening to you. Go ahead with your question or comment.
Good evening.
All right. My question is Mickela. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, there.
I'd like to get your views on homosexuality and abortion and
sure.
the current piece of legislation that the whole issue about. So generally, what are your views? If you intend to open a party, well, I understand it's on its way. What are your views on homosexuality and abortion?
Sure.
Loaded question.
Yes.
Let's go now. Let's try and get it too quick, like about 1 minute or
1
two.
minute.
So the first one, this, again, they're very heavy, but as briefly as you can. Crime, healthcare, economy. So I would kind of tweak this and say, what would be your priority if, let's say, you become Prime Minister? I
think crime, and I'm going to say this as quickly as I possibly can. The issue with crime is it has to be dealt with on 3 different levels. You have to look at prevention, you have to look at detection, and you must look at rehabilitation. I think you have to do that. They're going to have to, within those 3 headings, if we were to say, the most important thing is that you will have to look at short-term ways of doing that and long-term ways of doing that.
Right.
Obviously, when it comes to the economy, I preach, live, breathe, eat, believe in diversification. I really do. You can't sit down. Any government should never be sitting down and hoping for some kind of oil boom or hoping that the price of oil dictated by outside factors depend how we're going to live and how the lives of our people are going to be. And diversify. We need to look at agriculture. We need to look at feeding ourselves. A country, before you feed anybody, you've got to be able to feed yourself. Keep it. And this is what I'm saying. Talk to the farmers. We can't sit in a room with technocrats and decide how to diversify. Talk to the farmers. What are the issues that are happening? What are the problems that the farmers have? That's the economy. Was there another one?
Right, healthcare and foreign exchange crisis, right?
Right. I mean, that's super loaded.
Yeah. All right.
Very kind of. But you will hear absolutely everything that we're coming to.
And the abortion issue, of course, is happening right now.
I believe in obeying the law, obviously. I believe that everybody should have equal rights, and that is in the simplest way. It is on issues the rights that are given to us under the Constitution.
Understood.
Absolutely, and I mean that's as without going too deep into it because it's a very, very. But it is something that we're going to address.
And it has to be addressed. It
has to be addressed, and it has to also be addressed in a non-passionate way that everybody's voices are heard, and we're not fighting each other. And you have to understand where the religious aspect is coming from. And you have to understand the way and discuss. Not stand up outside of Parliament and quarrel. I don't know how healthy.
On either side.
Both sides. Yeah. On both sides. Let's sit down together. Let's discuss it. Let's talk about it. Well, but things the way again, I feel it benefits politicians to divide people on issues of like this.
It started off from an emotional place.
It started an emotional place, and therefore it ended up terribly with nobody winning, in my view.
Okay, so everybody want to call now, but we're out of time. So
it could have call us earlier.
Mickela, thank you. Thank you so very much. God bless you. And
Thank you.
congratulations on the launch of your new party.
Thank you.
You heard it here first on Cloud9 on ACT and The Voice. Thank you. We will keep in touch.
Yes, we will.
God bless you. Take care.